Well, we can go ahead and some other people might hop on later. We really don't have like a fixed agenda for these calls. It's mostly just to chat and kind of share our experiences. If there's challenges or questions, to kind of collaborate and help each other with, utilizing virtual professionals or just business tips in general. So since I think, did Ashley just start today for you? Is that her first day going?
Yes.
Awesome. So being brand new, it looks like you're already getting a lot of tasks and good information set up in the task board for your business. So that's good.
Yes, I'm really excited. She seems very knowledgeable and amazing.
Awesome. So what are some of the first priorities you have picked out for her to work on for you?
Well, I just started the conversion to Jobber.
Oh, nice.
I took the plunge, and there's a lot of conversion that has to happen, and hiccups we're trying to work out. So I've tasked her with helping with some of those things. I pretty much unloaded quite a bit on her this morning, which I understand she can only do so much in a day. But there's a lot. So I've put things in and tried to prioritize, and she's helping me work through some of those kinks, among other things.
Awesome. Now, do you plan on doing like a Zoom or a Google Meet check-in with her periodically, or just do like a phone call? What do you prefer for communication?
Well, this morning we did a phone call. As you can tell, I'm having some technical difficulties. I'm actually in the market for a new computer as we speak. So hopefully that will be solved soon. So a combination of going over things on the phone and sending her things on email and updating things in the task manager. So we're sort of figuring that out, but that's where we started.
Awesome. What do you think some of the biggest challenges you face in working with Ashley or someone remote might be?
Well, it's a little early to tell, but I didn't see any challenges other than she needed access to one of my two websites, which I haven't updated in a bazillion years, and I don't know how to get into the back end of that one and give her administrative permissions for some reason. So I was trying to figure that out. The Squarespace one is very easy. The other one, I'm not sure.
Yeah. We've seen other clients with similar kind of issue. They're like, finally, I've got someone that can help me do this. And then it's like, I don't even know how to log into this website that I've had for so many years.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, we're working through getting her permissions and access to all the different things that she's going to need access to. But it's not really a challenge. It's just, I didn't run into a challenge until I figured out I have no idea how to give her permissions in one of them.
Yeah.
So, I was actually trying to work on that when I started this call with you guys. So
cool. Well, one thing that I have found is helpful in kind of being able to delegate access to online resources is I'll just create a Google Sheet and put it in the shared drive and go ahead and I'll put in like logins or create new logins for those resources that are going to be for the virtual professionals to utilize for logging in there. And so whether it's like a website backend like WordPress or access to a financial institution or like one of my mortgage accounts. So it's just like one place can keep all those logins, and if something needs to change, I just go there to update the credentials.
Yeah, it's not that I'm worried about it, but it is a little scary to begin giving someone all of that. Because they could do a lot of damage, but I know that's not something I should be concerned about. It's just a little, it's a little uneasy feeling. It's actually happened to me before, but I'm not worried about her.
Yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to. and you still be, I mean, I still am smart about, what we delegate out. Like I don't, um, whenever possible, I always try to do some kind of access controlled account. So like we set up on our banking, we actually switched from like the personal banking account system to more of like a business view of our bank accounts that the bank had available. And that allowed me to create different user accounts with different access permissions. So I can have one account that only has access to certain bank accounts. And so for like our property checking account, for doing like property management, I'll give our admin who is doing the property accounting access to that one account. So they don't have necessarily access to do all my accounts or access to bill pay. But they can do like a read view of like all past statements and check images and things like that, so that they can make sure like our QuickBooks and all the transactions there are up to date.
Okay.
So that's one thing to look into, just all the various platforms that you're on, and see if they do have various access roles and allow you to create accounts with roles that give them the permissions they need to do their role, but no more than is necessary. And then over time, sometime just depending on what it is, I'll be like, okay, you've got full admin access because I don't even want to mess with worrying about it anymore. And sometimes there's things that you can enable. For example, in WordPress, there's plugins you can get that will track all activity. And so that way, even if someone has full admin access, everything they do on this site, as far as like making changes, updating plugins, making new posts, gets logged with their username. And so it's very easy to go back and say, oh, the website's not working right now. What was the last change? Who did it? And I can check in with that person and say, hey, what were you working on? Can we undo that, or what's going on?
Okay. I don't know how to do that plugin thing, but something I can discuss with her. I'm sure she does.
Yeah, she can figure that out. And that's the great thing too, is that's kind of the one of the things we try to do in this meeting, is just share those general like technology ideas, and then it's not up to you to go like look at the nitty gritty details. It's a good thing to ask Ashley with and say, hey, Ashley, can you go research this plugin that Harley was talking about? And she can always talk to the other virtual professionals that we have that are doing that for me and get the information immediately.
Okay.
Have you been getting the new client onboarding email series? That's kind of a new feature we started recently, and I wanted to check in and see how that was working, and if you had any feedback on that.
The ones that were sent to me as I was coming on?
Yes.
So far, it's been great. I felt like it was very thorough. I felt like I wasn't in the dark on like what's happening, where are we at in the process, what's the next step. I felt like it was very easy to follow and kept me in the loop, and I knew exactly what was going on, and I knew, if I have any questions or concerns or feedback, that Kiara, is that her name correct? Kiara,
yeah.
Kiara, sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Kiara is, my point of contact and available. She's made me feel like she's very accessible should I need her. So far, everything from my end, as far as feedback for you, has been very, very smooth.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We're definitely always open to feedback so we can improve the client experience, make things very easy to use and very clear. I know it can be overwhelming getting started with all like the new tools and accounts and things like that. So try to kind of smooth it out over a few days and not just have one giant dump of information.
Yeah, I felt like, sometimes you sign something and then you're just like, okay, so what next? And I felt like it was a very easy process for me to follow. At no point did I feel like I have no idea what's happening next or where we are in the process. So that was I loved it. I don't have any negative feedback to give you at all, or even any suggestions. I thought it was very easy.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Well, Kiara was the implementer of all that stuff. So thank you, Kiara, for getting that all put together well. Good job.
Actually, it would be a great sort of format for me to follow in terms of when, we bring on a new customer.
Yeah, those drip campaign emails are really powerful, both for like new client onboarding as well as doing sales and outreach. The tool that we use right now is called MailerLite. I tasked one of our virtual professionals with kind of evaluating the various newsletter tools that were out there and finding one that had a good capability for doing those drip campaigns. And I've been quite pleased with it. It's pretty flexible as far as like being able to set up templates and various campaigns and really customizing how the automations work, whether you like what triggers the campaign series, like how long between each email, and having like template fields where you can like fill in the client's name or email or business or things like that.
Okay.
So that could certainly be something that Ashley takes on as a task to get set up for you.
Okay. One of the things I feel like I've struggled with over the recent years, I guess maybe because I've gotten older and maybe because I'm just so inundated that I just don't have a lot of time. Also, I work solo, so I don't get that, camaraderie of bouncing ideas off of other people. But I feel like I've gotten a little behind on various apps or technology that might streamline things and make things easier. And I'm working towards that now. But just out of curiosity, do you guys use anything that you find to be a lifesaver in terms of to-do lists? I'm
like just a personal
constantly
tracking?
writing. There's to-do lists have many layers. There's today. There's sorry. There's today. There's like long term. There's like business. There's personal. There's maybe lists of things you want to delegate. You want to share. So I was not sure if you used anything or if you were aware of anything that is kind of a lifesaver.
So
for you,
what I use now pretty much is the Monday task board and Kiara as the executive assistant. If I have like a to-do item and I'm not right by the computer, I'll just chat her and say, hey, make a task item to do this and assign it to so-and-so or assign it to me, set this deadline on it. One thing that you can do on the task board, you're welcome to customize your task board on monday.com and add additional columns and kind of play around with that. We had one client that added a category column, and it's kind of it's the same type of column as what the priority column is. It's like a label. And they were then able to create categories of like personal, social media, website. They had a couple of businesses, so like one business or the second business. And so when they'd create a task, in addition to setting all the things we have on there now, like the status and due date and things like that, they could also set the category. And you can also create custom views and basically like custom dashboards at the top of your task board that you can filter and create like a fixed filter for that particular view that shows only one category, so that you can easily just hop on one view and say, okay, here's all my personal to-do items and when they're due and what the status is. That's one option. Another tool that I've used in the past, I haven't been using it since we started using monday.com, but prior to that, was built into Gmail or Google Workspace is a app called Google Tasks. And it's nice because it syncs across if you're an Android user, it syncs across your phone and on the web view. And you can create tasks there very easily. You can set deadlines, and it kind of integrates with Gmail very nicely.
Okay. Yeah, I was interested in something that was, mobile, maybe at this point, keeping things on. I think it's a combination for me right now in terms of monday.com but also ones that, you know, maybe things that I can do on my phone, that I can share, you know, with other people who might have a stake in some of those things, whether it's, you know, my child or an errand I need run for my mom, or, you know, anything like that, just both personal, professional, you know, multiple businesses. It's hard to keep it all straight. It's, I feel like my to-do lists have to-do lists.
Yes.
And then as I'm writing it on paper, you know, it's rewarding to me to cross it off, so to speak, but also then if I'm somewhere out, I'm like, oh shoot, I need that, and it's sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess it's more of a productivity app or something that, you know, and I've used notes in my phone a lot because it does sort of have that feature. It's just limited. I mean, you can check things off and it goes to the bottom of the list, but I think I need a way to organize my life a little bit more, you know, things that are, you know, today important, things are priority today, things that are priority today personal, priority today professional, which business is it related to, you know, attaching things that might be relevant. So that's kind of something that I was just going to pick your brain on, and have you landed on something that maybe is a solution for that?
Yeah, so most of the things that you described, the Monday task board addresses those, and that's kind of the idea behind it. Was, you know, you can get the Monday.com app for your phone, and with your same login, you should be able to access your task board on your phone with that app.
Okay, I guess I haven't really fully grasped the capabilities of that, nor was I sure that I could use it for. I didn't want it to get confusing if I was putting personal things in there and Ashley to think that was something that was delegated to her.
Yeah, no, and the nice thing is we have that responsible column, and so you can assign yourself things. You can say, I'm the requester and I'm the responsible person, and so it's just like you're giving it to yourself. All the built-in automations of reminders and notifications will still work fine, and you can have things that are, you know, personal. You can anything you want on there, and if you have other team members or family members that you want to have on the board, you're welcome to have more people. Just give their email to Kiara and she'll add them as guests, and they can be on the board as well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that's a great question. To-do list is always like a changing landscape. There's always new software out there. We use Google Keep quite often between my wife and I when we're like doing kind of larger, like especially when we're like furnishing a short-term rental or something. We'll have like a large Keep note that we keep track of all the stuff that we need to buy and kind of cross off as we go to the various stores and buy those things, in addition to spreadsheets. And it can get kind of confusing. But the nice thing about the Google Keep notes, like you've said, is you can share them with other people, so you can collaborate, versus the to-do list with Google. I don't believe you can share those tasks. They're just like, there's no way to share them with someone else. They're just your like personal task list.
Okay. I mean, even down to like, you know, grocery list, you know, you wrote some things down and put it on your refrigerator, and you're out passing a store and you're like, oh shoot, I don't even remember what's on there. You know,
yeah.
I'm trying to move myself forward, because I realize that what I'm doing it's not that it's not working, it's that it could be done better.
Right.
I need to start leveraging technology more and not doing things the same way just because that's the way I'm doing them.
Yeah. So for our family, like grocery list, for example, we have like the Amazon Echo or Dots, or, you know, whatever they're called, little listening devices in our house. And we have one in our kitchen. And so when we run out of something or it's getting low, we just add it to the shopping list with that Amazon Alexa app. And then we have one of our virtual professionals has access to our Amazon account. And when we say, hey, we're getting low on groceries, can you do a grocery order? I just create a task on the board, and they go log into the Amazon account. They see all the groceries that we need, and they put together a Walmart, and they have access to our Walmart account. They just go into walmart.com and order the groceries that we get, and like 95% of the things are the same items week to week, or
Right.
2 weeks. And so it's just kind of a tedious task that I used to have to do, and now someone else is able to handle. And then they just post an update when they have it all together, and I can go and quickly review it and do the final checkout.
That is also amazing. Grocery shopping is one of my, it is my absolute least favorite domestic chore ever.
Yeah, Ashley's actually one of them who has done that for me. So she's already familiar with that process. I'm sure she'd be happy to do that for you. And then we have Walmart Plus subscription, so get the free delivery and have the groceries delivered to our house. And we have a young college student from UTC that works afternoons here, and we schedule the grocery delivery for when she's on shift, and she puts all the groceries away for us.
Oh man, I need to definitely take a few pages out of your book.
It's taken a while to get here, and it definitely is like a change in the way we're brought up of like, hey, we got to do everything ourselves and save money and cut costs. It's like sometimes investing in somebody else to do things for you is actually a lot better than trying to cut costs, because it frees you up to do other things.
Well, and that's, if I'm being completely honest, with the very expensive cost of the new Jobber software, which was to the tune of $3,000, needing a new computer, and also, just now getting involved with a CPA, so to speak, and then hiring Ashley, on a personal level, I'm like, oh, great, I'm still working 80 hours plus a week, but I have no income. So my hope is, and that was kind of my hang up from the beginning, is that through your sort of coaching and encouragement, I'm trying to hold on to the idea that this is a short-term pain for a long-term solution, and that once we get over these hurdles and these configurations and getting this software up and running and all of these things, that I will be able to then focus my attention on growing my businesses, which will then hopefully replace the income that I'm spending out, my expenses that are, a lot higher now.
Yeah.
And everything will be not only running more smoothly, but that's that's been one of my challenges, is I don't have time or capacity for, marketing and new business.
Right.
Unless it's just organic that trickles in, but it's beyond that, it's not something I've had the capacity to take on.
Yeah, and that is that situation that you described is like 95% of small business owners. I mean, almost everybody that I talk to out at like networking events and stuff, they're in that same situation. They're like, well, let me talk to you, when I get some more clients and have more revenue. I'm like, well, what are you doing to change what you're doing today to get those new clients and to make your situation better so that you have extra revenue? It's like, well, they're not doing anything. I think they're just doing the same thing they've always been done. And
that's exactly where I was.
Nothing changes.
Or where I am, but I'm taking this leap of faith because I've, and my pains, but I've gotten to the point where it's no longer sustainable for me to continue the way it's been going with the zero work-life balance. I can't be the parent that I need to be. Just a lot of, personal life suffering in a major way, and still with all that, not able to really focus on growing my business. And my business happens to be one of those that is not particularly lucrative. It only becomes, mildly lucrative with volume.
Yeah.
And by volume, I don't mean I ever want to be, huge. I still am very passionate about the personal customer experience and caring about every customer and that sort of thing and being available. But there does need to be a certain threshold for it to even be worth it.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm impressed that you are, sticking with it despite all those challenges. I mean, so many people in a similar situation would just be like, all right, give up. I'm going to go work for the man again and not have all the stress. So you'll get through this. And
you wouldn't believe how often I'm told that.
Yeah.
And it has been my personal mission, not just as in I told you so, but just I'm one of those people that I have a no-fail attitude. Like, failure is not an option. I will do whatever it takes. And, you know, throwing in the towel on what you've invested your life in for nearly 10 years isn't the answer for me. Having been in the corporate world for most of my adult life, I've realized that there were definitely some perks and some work-life balance there. But it's not who I am and not where I want to go back to. So I'm going to fight. I'm going to keep fighting. We survived COVID, didn't we?
Yeah.
We survived that year, or those 2 years. So when so many small businesses failed, so, you know, I feel like I have the right mindset and the right attitude. I just need the right people on my team to help me get there.
Yeah. I have a question for you on, you know, that one of the things I've been reading lately or listening to on like Audible books on when I'm driving and stuff is this book, Who Not How. And the chapter that I was in today, they talked about viewing other businesses that are in your same space, not as competitors, but finding ways of like collaborating. And, you know, given I imagine there are probably other small businesses that are in your same industry that are facing similar challenges that you've been facing. If you like knew them or had considered like doing something where like, hey, look, let's combine, or like I'll buy you out or something like that, where, you know, once you have these like systems in place where you're being more efficient, you would be able to like just essentially acquire their staff and their client base. And, you know, someone maybe who is wanting to just throw in the towel, be like, hey, don't worry, like you can now just do the cleaning if that's something you like doing, rather than worrying about running the business, because you have the systems and all the processes in place for efficiently running the business, and have like kind of forced growth that way, and making it a win for both people, you and then this person that is being relieved of this like stressful position they're in.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I think about that all the time. As I feel like I'm constantly recreating the wheel from scratch in so many ways. I'm like, I know that other people have this that would make this task a lot less monumental. But when they see you as their direct competitor, people are uninterested in that. But also just things like labor sharing. You know, hey, other company locally, you know, we had 3 cancellations this week from customers with the flu on short notice. We've got people available who need hours. Are you short staffed this week?
Right.
You know,
yeah.
They need work and you might need help, and, you know, vice versa. Hey, we've got somebody out in a crazy day ahead that's impossible. Do you have anybody that, you know, you could send our way to help out?
Yeah, that's really smart.
It seems like to me that would be smart, and maybe it's someone who is in the area but maybe services, you know, mostly some, you know, houses or businesses that they don't feel like I'm going to steal from them, or vice versa. You know, you'd have to have some sort of pact with each other that we're not going to steal each other's customers or steal each other's employees or any of those things, but just a way to, hey, you know, I need to write a contract for XYZ. Do you already have this? Could you send it to me to use as a template? And then, you know, when you need something, I can share it with you.
Exactly.
You know, hey, I've been using Jobber for a year. This is my feedback, you know, to someone who's like in my same boat trying to decide which to go with. And hey, what do you like and not like about it? Hey, you know, how did you do this when you were setting it up, or whatever? What were your challenges? You know, so that maybe it's not such a painful process for them. Those are just some of my thoughts, and I don't know how to get there. I have a lot of big ideas. I don't know how to solve them necessarily, but I'm full of them.
One thing, once you are more established with getting over this initial hurdle of like learning all new systems and like really changing how you're doing things, I run across other small business cleaning businesses. And I know you've got other businesses that you have going too, so there could be similar kind of synergy there with those, and at like various networking events. And so obviously, like right now, you probably don't have time to go to these things.
Absolutely not.
Maybe in a few months you will, and or also like posting on like various job boards. I see other cleaning businesses posting looking for employees. That's pretty common. Obviously, labor issues are a big challenge, and that's something that Ashley could monitor. Spend a few minutes a day, just go quickly like do a search for cleaning or jobs or cleaner or something like that, and then she can reach out and kind of do like appointment setting and say, hey, I work with integrated cleaning solutions. We have some ideas for collaboration. Would you like to have a meeting with our owner to discuss ways that can be mutually beneficial to you, and like have her to set those appointments using a shared calendar that you have so she knows when you're available. And then you can just have that 15-minute kind of intro call to see if there's something there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be so beneficial to both parties if I had, say, another small business owner in the same industry like myself, that, even if, hey, I got somebody out sick today, would you, want to send your team to take care of one of my customers? It has to be done today, but we aren't going to be able to do it, and I really don't want to cancel on them. From a professional standpoint, you want to try to keep things as consistent as possible, and your, issues should not be, you try to keep those internal and not have your customers aware of, the challenges that you're facing day to day, right?
Yeah.
Just, it goes back to not just sharing labor, but sharing, being able to take that on for them and do it with the same care and processes that maybe, and standards that they have in place, so they know that it's being done the right way. And it would take someone who can reciprocate that,
Yeah.
But another question I had for you on your Workergenics side is, currently I'm doing a whole lot of big changes at once. But I am struggling with the need for CPA type things, transitioning over from spreadsheets for expenses and income and payments and payouts and all of that stuff to QuickBooks. I did meet with a local CPA. He wants to meet like in like Christmas Eve to even have a crash course training in QuickBooks. My hope was to sort of have that learning curve behind me, and maybe even, I don't even know if it's feasible to transition my data into QuickBooks for this year so that this coming tax season isn't such a monumental undertaking.
Right.
In your Workergenics world, let's just say I have Ashley doing what she's doing. Is that something like I could add on a, person who's like a accounting person, a CPA person that maybe I could utilize in addition to her for sort of a separate thing for however long, temporarily that I needed that to get on the other side of it?
That's a great question. And I've had several people ask about this. I'm a little hesitant to do kind of like kind of task-based or short-term arrangements, just because like the whole model I have set up is really more focused on like the long-term, relationship. And I think part of the reason I have more like the long-term commitment model is because of the accountability it provides of having somebody like Ashley, 20 or 40 hours a week that you're like, hey, I have to offload tasks because I'm paying for this, versus like, hey, I'm just going to pay for 2 weeks to have someone kind of come in and clean up my accounting. In that particular case, what I would suggest is I have a couple of CPA clients right now. One of them in particular, or both, I can do introductions to you I think they both offer a service where they will basically do like a consult and like an initial setup. So you have like a good framework with online accounting software, whether it's QuickBooks or some other software. And then it could be something where, maybe you decide it's worth them maintaining it for you, or it's something that you could have Ashley maintain for you, given that she's not a specialist in accounting, but it's something that anyone can kind of pick up once the framework is established of just doing your daily transaction categorizing and doing invoicing.
That's the goal. That's the goal, is once I get the framework established and have things, sort of automatically dumping into it and all of that, that it would be easy to maintain from that point. It's just how to get there.
Yeah.
But maybe something, and obviously I don't know exactly what challenges and inner workings you face in the Workogenics world, but maybe a suggestion that you could think about, if it were even feasible, is maybe you have several businesses that need this service, and I get your challenges with, a short-term thing, but what if you said it's like we're, 5 of us are sharing a CPA, and each of us are willing to basically pay for a day a week or 4 hours a week for answering questions or solving problems, or I'm not even sure, but hey, I know you've expressed interest in this. Would you 5 businesses or 8 businesses like to share access to this person, and this would be your 4th or your 5th or your 8th of the cost? That would be an add-on.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I have a couple clients that do something similar where they share someone full time. So like a couple of real estate agents that are solo agents, they needed administrative help. Neither one necessarily were ready to commit to full time, but as you know, you get a better rate when you go full time. And so I was like, well, look, if you guys are fine kind of sharing the one task forward and one virtual professional, you can share that subscription. So you're getting a better hourly rate, and you just split the time however you guys want between yourselves. So, but I see kind of what you're saying is like, I can kind of see based on my clients' needs and what they've expressed, and then just reach out directly and say like, hey, I know 4 people have said they want an accountant to help them, and I can find someone, and they share it. I'm open to that. It gets into like trying to coordinate lots of different people to agree to commit to something for more than a few minutes is challenging. And so I would kind of lean more towards the model of like, hey, let me just refer you to a couple of my CPA clients that are actual, local experts that will get you set up quickly. And then depending on, what they offer, I don't know what their rates are for like the long-term maintenance. You can have a discussion of they do that long-term, or then you just hand it off to someone like Ashley to do the maintenance on.
Okay. And maybe I just need to, and the only reason I said QuickBooks versus Wave or some of the others is because the Jobber software integrates with QuickBooks. So I feel like by making that transition, I'm sort of locked into QuickBooks, although I feel like and maybe that's just a learning curve, I just feel like it's a little more complex than what I really wanted to deal with. But maybe once it's set up and I get over that hurdle, it will not be so scary to me.
Yeah, just I think there might be a way to integrate Jobber to Wave through a software called Zapier.
Yeah, so that's one of those scary worlds that I don't understand. I know Zapier does that. I'm not really sure what the limitations may be or how that works. Also, my current CPA that I met with one time, I just had a consultation. He prefers QuickBooks. So, I don't really know. I guess I don't really know if it would do what it's supposed to do with a Zapier integration or not.
Right. Yeah, so I don't have the answer on that one. It could be something that maybe Ashley does some testing, creates like a free account with both of those, and plays around with doing some tests in Jobber to see how it shows up in Wave, if that's even feasible. But again, it may not even be worth it. Like, if depending on the QuickBooks subscription that you end up needing, whether it's like 20 bucks a month or 40 bucks a month, it may not even be worth messing with the complexity of having that extra step.
Okay. And I would love to have, with all of us, especially something to bring to the table to these meetings. You had mentioned a book earlier. I would love to know things like that from you guys. Hey, I've been reading this book. It's really helped me with this and this. It would be great. Check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy. So pretty much the only books that I read or listen, and I only really listen to books, are like business development and like investing and those kind of books. So the one that I mentioned is called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. And I can have Kiara email a link of that to you. And it's quite powerful. Like it really drives home the value of like collaborating with other people, realizing the value of your time and expertise, and not trying to do everything yourself. Like, just like a quick example of like a what not to do case they had was like the CEO of a company was wanting to make a website. And he's like, well, I can probably learn, how to make a website. I can go teach myself programming and all these things to make a website. And he spent weeks and weeks and weeks, and he finally had a website put together, and it was terrible. And then he was talking to one of his buddies about this experience, and he's like, oh, I make websites. And he asked him how much it would cost. He's like, I could have made a website for $1,200. And it's just like the CEO probably spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of his time to make something that doesn't work, when he could have just used a who for a fraction of what his time would have been worth to have a better product.
You're absolutely correct. Sometimes I just don't even know who that would be in some aspects. So what you've provided me is somebody that is so well-rounded. If I run into anything that's not something she can do or handle, I feel like it would be more isolated and easier to track down the person that would be right for it, versus there's so many things. You feel like you need 100 different specialists.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm happy to help where I can. I do most of what I do in this business is networking right now, like going to networking events and meeting other people and helping people connect to solve problems like this. So, I'm certainly happy to, anytime you have a question or something, just reach out, and I can try to connect you with who I know that can handle it.
Well, that is extremely helpful. I'm trying to move forward in a lot of ways all at once, so I'm a little overwhelmed, but hopefully in a couple months, I will be settled into the other side of this mountain and enjoying the results.
Yes. Would you like me to go do like a little email intro to the couple of the CPA clients of mine that I have helped people do kind of what you're doing, of just doing that initial analysis and setup? And you're welcome to talk to them and see who the best fit might be.
Yeah, like I said, I met with someone a couple of weeks ago that I thought was pretty good, very highly recommended. I just think maybe I didn't articulate where I am in the process, and I should probably circle back to him first.
Okay. But I will say that I know the value that both of these people have is pretty amazing, just because they are using this service, and so they're able to leverage the virtual professionals to do a lot of the behind the scenes things that most CPAs it takes up a lot of their time. And so they're able to pass those savings onto their customers because they're focused on doing the initial problem solving and client outreach.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. So yes, let's do the introduction.
Okay.
I guess I sort of thought if I started with one, I had to stay with them. But if I go through, QuickBooks, that's pretty universal to everyone, and they could help me with the initial, like you said, the initial setup and conversion, and then it might be a much lower cost in the end for me.
Exactly.
Versus the CPA doing all of that. And I don't know, he may have staff that helps with that, but I can compare.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to shop around. And both of these women that I'm thinking of are, they're totally fine having just a free consult to see if it would be a good fit for both of you.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Do you have any more questions, or, of course, you're welcome to email or call me offline if anything else comes up.
Yeah, I think these are great. Just sharing, books, tools, things you figured out along the way, things that might be helpful for other people. I need to, again, get into networking and more of those things, and I'm working towards that. But I love sharing information and picking people's brains.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Jill, I really appreciate you joining us and coming on with Workergenics. I'm really looking forward to seeing where your businesses go from here.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.